Hi everybody, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So we've got a bit of a treat today. I'm excited about this. So I've got two decks here in front of me. This one is the Lo Scarabeo Minchiate Fiorentine from 1860. And this is, it's a Florentine Minchiate, it's 97 card deck. And Lo Scarabeo have produced this one. And I've taken out the major arcana and the court cards to compare with this deck. Now this deck is the one I'm very excited about. This is by Nova Mundi, who has a YouTube channel. She shares some amazing content, and she's also a creator. So she has a make playing cards shop, and this is the first deck I've bought of hers, and this is the Tarocco Siciliano. And she's included a number of cards with the deck which explain it, give you some information about the deck, and then she's also included a few extra cards so you can customize the box, because the box comes plain. So I'm going to choose one of those cards and glue it to the box. So those are spare cards. But basically I was very keen to get this deck. It's quite unusual. So it says Tarocco Siciliano is a historical Italian tarot deck with unique features that set it apart from other traditional tarot systems, like the Marseille or the Visconti. Originating in Sicily, it reflects regional variations in tarot usage, particularly for gaming rather than divination, so similar to the Minchiate. It also says it's believed to have been created in the 18th century, though the exact origins are somewhat unclear, so a little earlier than this Minchiate. This Minchiate is a late patterned Minchiate. So if you're interested in Minchiate, Masha, Musings by Masha is on her channel. She's doing a series on the Minchiate, and she is sharing some information about like the earlier patterns and the late patterns. So this is a late pattern deck, as I've said, and you can find out more on her channel about that, and I'll link it below. So I've been getting very interested in the Minchiate recently anyway, and I've got another one, the Bomazo, which is based on the early pattern, but I haven't got it with me at the moment. And as I was looking at the Siciliano, I thought it might be nice to compare it with the Minchiate, because it says, Nova Mundi says it reflects a local adaptation of the tarot tradition, influenced by Italian tarot decks used in gaming, such as the Tarocco Bolognese and Minchiate decks, which were popular in neighbouring regions in Italy. So I wanted to have a look across and see what the similarities were, what the differences were in these two decks. She says the original copies of the Tarocco Siciliano are extremely rare, and they're preserved in private collections or museum archives. And the deck contains 63 cards. We'll see in the minors that the first, I think, 4 minors are missing in each suit, except for the coins, I think. So yeah, omitting some pip cards and numerical cards, and adjusting the trumps to fit local preferences. So we'll see some difference in the trumps as well. An ace of coins was included for the purpose of carrying the tax stamp, so we'll see that. The suits are traditional coins, caps, swords and batons. And then the trump cards have distinct names and rankings compared to other tarot traditions, notably the Bagato, the Magician, and the Matto, the Fool, hold unique roles in the game structure. And yeah, some of the trump sequence include mythological and allegorical figures which differ from the more universal Tarot de Marseille symbolism. In some historical Sicilian decks, the pattern backs were elegantly folded around the edges, creating a narrow border of the same pattern that framed the card fronts. And basically Nova included this pattern around the edges to recall that, the folding of the cards. So some tarot card makers like Marco Benedetti produces cards with folded edges, and I would love to get one, but can't currently afford. I can't currently afford one, but I was really attracted by that design choice as well. I think that looks really, really pretty, and actually you can see something similar in terms of the patterning on the Minchiate as well. So yeah, it not only covers the blank borders but adds a harmonious and polished touch to the overall look. And then I've lovingly restored this exquisite historical tarot deck by refreshing the line work, enhancing the colours and cleaning up the artwork, preserving the original spirit. Guided by extensive research into various original versions and similar decks from the same era and region, it reflects Nova's deep passion for historical tarot. And then finally, yeah, she says she included a few duplicates so that you can add one to the box, and that was December last year. So there's Nova's information. Yeah, and you can get the deck from Make Playing Cards Nova Mundi store. So that's some background on her deck, and I'm just going to go through and compare the cards. Oh, I wanted to say I there's two versions available. There's a linen one and a smooth one, and I got the smooth one, and it's actually a very similar cardstock to the Minchiate. So again, gave me another reason to think that the comparison might be quite a nice one. So let's get into some of the cards. So there's actually these two sort of full cards. I guess they are the equivalent of the full card in the Sicilian deck. So you've got this sort of full character with a playing ball and blowing a trumpet, and then this is misery, and I have seen misery in the full position in other traditions, but that's quite interesting that there's two unnumbered cards, so kind of like two jokers in a playing card deck, I guess. And this is the full card in the Minchiate, so you can see very different traditions there in those three. But the Magician, on the other hand, is actually quite similar. So I think that might be a child in the Minchiate, or two children in the Minchiate. Here it looks like maybe younger adults, and then the Magician here at the table. But in both cases, they're kind of doing magic tricks. Yeah, so quite similar in terms of the depiction, the two people being shown magic tricks. So this is there's sort of 4 popes or 5 popes in the Minchiate, so they're all called pope, but this would be the position of the high priestess usually, and in the Sicilian it does look like a female figure, whereas in the Minchiate this is a male. I know in some of the earlier Minchiate decks do have female figures in these positions. But you can tell this is a man because they have their legs exposed, which women in this deck don't. I think somebody mentioned that in a video. It was probably Masha. Yeah, so but you can see they're both holding the orb and scepter, and they both have a very similar kind of crown. And then this is Pope 2 in the Minchiate, and this would be the Emperor position, I think. In which case that would be the Empress, not the High Priestess. So then the High Priestess is potentially missing, but then there's also this figure which might be the Empress. So perhaps that's High Priestess position, And then Emperor position and Empress kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because of her sword and, I mean, shield and spear and armor. The position 4 in the Minchiate is another Pope position. Yeah, so that would be the Emperor position in a normal tarot deck. So this would be the Empress and that would be the Emperor, I think. I keep getting mixed up because the numbers are different in the different decks. Okay, and then here we've got, in position 5, we've got, in the Minchiate, we've got this kind of lovers-esque card, while we've got Temperance in the Sicilian deck. And then in the Minchiate, Temperance is in position 6, which is quite interesting as well. But similar in terms of, well, here she's got the second vases on the floor and she's pouring water in, and here it's sort of more Marseille type Temperance, pouring from one yellow jar to a blue jar in her hands. But yeah, obviously both the Temperance card. And then in position 6 and 7 we have Strength, and this is a quite a common Italian representation of strength with the column. In some, the columns are broken or falling over or toppled or something, but yeah, those are the Strength cards. And there is Justice. And Justice is pretty consistent across most tarot decks, with the sword and scales. But yeah, card 7 and card 8. And then here, this is where the kind of Lovers card appears in the Sicilian deck in position 8, whereas in the Minchiate it was in 5. But you can see a lot of commonalities, although here the lady is holding a arrow, as well as Cupid firing the arrow. And here she's crowning the kneeling figure. And I was watching somebody the other day talking about this, the different representations of love, and it's, in some decks it was about a choice between sort of fealty to the throne, whereas in the Marseille decks it was sort of choice between virtue and vice in some decks. I'm not sure about this depiction, what the dynamics are there, so that's quite interesting that it's different, and that there's this female figure holding the arrow. He looks a bit alarmed. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Okay, we've got, so some of these are just switched. So we've got here the Chariot in 9, and the Wheel in 9 in the Minchiate, and then we've got the Wheel in 10 in the Sicilian deck, and the Chariot in 10 in the Minchiate. So you can just see there. So we've got the standing figure and the horses. So this is, again, it's quite familiar depiction in some of the Italian decks. And then here we've got the seated charioteer. Still not the kind of forward view on the chariot that you get in the Marseille traditions. And then the Wheel of Fortune. This one, the Minchiate, feels a bit more Marseille-like, with somebody falling down the wheel and somebody else rising up the wheel, and this sort of animal-headed figure at the top, and the man reading a book at the bottom. And here, very similar, sort of somebody lying underneath, but this is a human. But you can see they're holding orb and scepter again atop the wheel. These are switched around as well. So 11 in the Sicilian is hanged, the hanged man, and in the Minchiate it's Father Time, which is another depiction of the hermit. Oops. And there's the hanged one. That's a more sort of Marseille type image, with the bags of coins and hanging by a foot. While here it's an actual hanging, somebody having been punished for a crime, presumably. And then position 12 in the Sicilian is the hermit, and they're holding a lamp in a more hermit kind of fashion, and a stick like you would see in the Marseille or the RWS even. And whereas here, yeah, it's the depiction is Old Father Time, and it's indicated by the hourglass. And there's another name for this person as well. I'll put it on the screen. I've forgotten what the name of that one is. In fact, maybe it's here. Hunchback. Hunchback or Time is the name of that card in the Minchiate. And then 13 is Death for both decks. And we have the sort of beheadings, recalling the Marseille. But they're both seated on a horse and with the scythe in hand, so not standing in a field of battle. And here, this is interesting, and I wasn't sure about this difference. So there's the devil in the Minchiate with snakes and so on. But in the Sicilian, there's a ship. And I can't find a devil card in the Sicilian deck. I think there isn't one. Yeah, I'll hang on to that one because there's another card that's quite interesting that comes up in the Minchiate later. This is the Tower in both decks, 15. Here it's sort of the House of the Devil is the equivalent of the Tower in other traditions, but they are both basically the Tower card. Yeah, she's being pulled back into the House of the Devil. And then here, 16. So this is in the Minchiate. Here we get into the virtues, and I don't think there are equivalents. No, there are no equivalents of the other virtues in the Sicilian deck, as far as I know. So that is, I can't remember which virtues they are. Hold on, I'll look it up. So this is hope. This is prudence. And this is faith. And finally, charity, I believe. And then in the Minchiate, you have 4 element cards. So this is fire, water, earth, and air. But you can see the water card. It's very similar to this. Number 14 in the Sicilian. I don't know if there is a connection because there are no other element cards as far as I can tell. In the Sicilian deck after that, we get into the star, the moon, the sun. Yeah, the star, moon, and sun. And here in the Minchiate, similarly, you have, yeah, the star. Sorry. So that's the star in the Minchiate, and they're both riding a horse. And this is one of the wise kings, I think, in the Minchiate deck. Whereas here, I'm not sure what the representation there is. And then you have, yeah, the moon. Okay, so the moon in the Minchiate is the astrologer measuring the heavens. And this is time. And then in this card, I actually love this card. I might choose this one to put on my box, because that moon is looking so unimpressed, and she's like, look at this guy. What is he doing? Why is he asleep? So I like that card a lot. It's hilarious. So yeah, very different from other depictions of the moon that I've seen. And really interesting. And then the two sun cards. So here you have a sort of loving family or a marriage couple, love couple under the sun. And then here you have somebody attacking somebody else under the sun. So maybe the sun is casting light on all sorts of kinds of interactions. So yeah, very different depictions again. And then these aren't numbered. These are the high trumps, and they're not numbered in the Minchiate deck. So you've got the World is this card. It's actually Europa, Goddess Europa. And then here you have Atlas, right, with the world on his shoulders, I believe. And it's got the astrological signs around it. Also a really nice card. And then Judgment is Zeus, I guess, with the lightning. And here more of a traditional kind of judgment card with the angel and trumpets. Fama Volat, I will have to look up. And the eagle there. So yeah, that is the kind of major arcana comparison. And then I'm just going to go through Nova's deck, the minors, so you can see the pattern. So this is the only ace that's included, and then you start with 4, and this indicates coins, and you'll see the other suits are indicated by a letter, and I think because cups is indicated by C, the coins are indicated by the shape rather than the C, because you can't have C and C, you know what I mean. So yeah, you get the pip cards 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and that's why the deck is only, what was it, 63 cards rather than a full deck of 78, because those first 4 pips are missing in each suit. So yeah, it's going to be, I've had a bit of a discussion with Ina at Taproot Tarot about how to read a deck without the first 4 pips, and what that might do to the meanings of the rest of the cards. And I think Nova mentioned that she might also be doing a video talking about how to read a Tarocchi, which is the, you know, the shorter, the smaller deck with those pips missing. Yeah, so that would be really nice if we get some more information about reading them. But you know, there are ways to adjust the numerical meanings to make it possible to read this as a more traditional kind of tarot deck. And then I'm just going to show you the quartz. So the valet, the pages, are both female in the discs, which is nice. Here she's got a really cool shield. The pages in the Minchiate, the knights in the Minchiate are actually centaurs, which is cool. I like this one as well. The queens, here you can see the queen has full dress, she doesn't show her legs. Queen of discs, coins, sorry. I always say discs because that was the tradition I learnt. It was discs in the mother piece, which was a deck I learnt tarot on. But these are coins, then the king. And And then again the suit cards, so the 5, so you see there's no ace in that one. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we have our female pages, valets again. The knights, another centaur. The queen. Here she has a vase under her arm. Here a staff. And the king. And then swords. And here again the valet is female in the Sicilian deck, whereas in the Minchiate this is a male valet page. The knights facing the same way, which is interesting. And the queens, and here they have the similar hand gesture and they're facing the same direction. So yeah, I think a lot of these cards you could read similarly in the two decks. Here the kings are facing in different directions. I love these, the shields in the Sicilian deck with the faces on there, really cool. And then the batons. Love these cards, and they're little. I really like little tarot decks. Oh, and then this is my favorite. Look at this amazing valet page with a hunting bird and this brilliant shield as well. And there's the Minchiate equivalent, male. The knights, the queen. I like a big club. And the kings. So I think that's been quite interesting. You know, there are obviously quite a lot of overlaps. And I'd love to know a bit more about those cards that I wasn't sure about. So if anyone does have any information, please do leave in the comments. Yeah, this deck is beautiful. I'm really, really happy I got it. Thank you, Nova, for this amazing creation. Yeah, and it wasn't very expensive either. I had to ship to the UK, so but even that wasn't too bad. So very happy to have this little deck. And yeah, and I think I'm going to choose, what was that one? I mean, they're all gorgeous, aren't they? But I think I'm going to put this one on the box. So if anybody knows more about this sleeping man under a tree, I would love to hear about it. And that's going to be my my Sicilian Tarocchi deck card. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I've got another one that I'm going to try and do in the next few days. I've got this amazing deck from Ian Cumsty, which is the Great Parade, the Great Parade, which is a Bolognese, based on a Bolognese tarot deck. So I'm hoping to do a walkthrough of that in the next couple of days as well, and I might do it in comparison with what was the one I wanted to compare with? With the Bacchus, the Vandenborg, because quite a lot of the images seem to cross over between those two decks, so I thought that might be quite interesting as well. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and yeah, have a great week. Bye.